Hello guys, I'm Justin Koslowsky. I've been cooking professionally for about 15 years. I'm at 4000 Royal Street in New Orleans, Louisiana, and today I'm going to be doing a cooking demo in one of the multiple kitchens inside of this property. Let's get started. So today we'll be making a whole roasted chicken. This is something that is perfect for a small family. It's super easy to produce. I feel like every household should know how to do this, and it's literally that easy. Alongside that, we're going to do some mashed potatoes and some glazed carrots. The first thing we're gonna do is we want to get rid of this wishbone. So come in on the next side, and the wishbone is running along the breast here. If you just kind of push your fingers in here, you can feel it. You want to get in here with a knife on one side of it and kind of scrape down until you know where you're at, both sides. And then you just kind of get in here with your fingers, and you want to rub up and down the meat until you could get up to the top, and you just kind of remove it. Once you get your finger in there, it comes out really, really easily. So we want to season the inside cavity first, pretty liberally with salt, and then again with a good bit of black pepper. All right, so next we're gonna truss the bird. So we want to make sure that these wings are folded over and under, and the whole point of trussing is that you're going to bring these bones up and you're going to have everything nice and compact, and that way you'll be guaranteed for nice even cooking. It'll cook faster. These won't be dried out, and this nice and juicy. Everything will kind of cook at the same time, and you'll have a nice juicy bird. So we'll get a nice piece of butcher's twine. Let's say probably 3 feet. And what you want to do first is you want to get this little tail nugget, and I like to just go ahead and do a little cross on that, and then you'll go over the drumsticks, then under, and you'll cross and go back in between these creases right here. Pull everything nice and tight, and then you could turn the whole bird over. And now what you're looking for is you're looking for the neck right here, and you're going to go under that, and then you'll do a nice little slip knot right there. Nice and tight. Trim off any of that excess twine, and there you go, a nice trussed bird. So we'll get our pan, get our bird in there, and then we're going to season this on the outside very liberally. And you want to get up high when you're seasoning these birds so you get even spread. And you want to do it, like I said, pretty liberally. You'll be surprised at how much salt these birds actually drink, and it'll give you a real nice kind of crust on the outside of it. We'll do some more black pepper. If you want to get fancy, you could, of course, stuff birds, garlic. You can stuff the bird with garlic, thyme, herbs, all kinds of things like that. You could even chop up some mirepoix, some vegetables, and put it in the bottom of the roasting pan before you roast the bird. But this is super simple, and we'll go right into the oven now. 450 degrees already preheated. Every bird is going to cook a little bit differently. Around 3 to 4 pounds should be 45-50 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and get that in. We'll start the next step. Okay, next we're going to start our mashed potatoes. Another just super simple recipe. Don't overthink it. It's not as hard as everybody makes it out to be. Russet potatoes would be fine. If you're cooking for like 2 people, think a potato per person. So the first thing you want to do is you want to peel your potato, but I'm going to show you a trade secret. In a kitchen, sometimes we'll grab parchment paper or something like that, but you know, space is a hot commodity, and staying cleanly speeds everything up. So you want to wash the potatoes first, and then we'll peel them. And then you just roll up your paper towel, and you can throw the whole thing away, and your cutting board is clean. We're going to cut these potatoes into, I'd say, 1/16, and you want to make sure that you're keeping every piece pretty much the same size so you can cook them evenly. We'll go into a pot. I already have some that I did a little bit earlier. We'll get all of these in here. And then we are going to want to cover this with water. You always want to use cold water when you're cooking root vegetables. Root vegetables you start in cold water, green vegetables you start in hot water. So we will then season our water, good bit of salt, good punch of salt, and we'll go ahead and get those boiling. Alright, so next we're going to start the carrots. If you've been to the farmer's market or anything like that, you get some nice carrots. If they have the green tops on, you just kind of cut them off. You could get regular old grocery carrots, it's not a big deal. The first thing I like to do, especially if they have the tops, is you never cut them off first, you peel them first. So wash your carrot, and then the same little trick we did earlier, right onto a paper towel. And you want to peel them. And you see why I didn't cut the green top off. It gives me something to hold on to. Then we'll cut the tops off now. Get rid of our mess. And then we're going to do an oblique cut on these carrots. They're a little bit smaller than usual, and this is better than doing a dice, and it will make sure that the entire product kind of stays the same size, cooks uniformly. So what you want to do is you want to cut down at a bias angle, rotate your carrot 1/4 turn, cut down, 1/4 turn, cut down, 1/4 turn, cut down, 1/4 turn, cut down, and this is really just for looks. As you get closer to the end, you're going to want to make your piece bigger, because obviously it's thinner. And that's good right there. I cut some of these earlier, put them in there. Go. So, glazed carrots, super simple. So you get a nice pan, a little bit of olive oil, and you heat your pan up. And you're going to want to have butter, sugar, salt, water, carrots. We're going to cut a little bit of shallots, and we're going to garnish with a little bit of chives. It's super simple. This is something that you want to do real close to the end of the meal, because it's super fast. Takes less than 10 minutes, 5, 6, 7 minutes. Get your pan hot, you go in with your carrots. I'm going to add about 1/2 cup of water. I'm going to season with some salt, sugar, and then a good knob of butter. Lid it and let that steam up and cook. let those cook down. So what we're looking for here is that we want the water to reduce. Eventually it's going to evaporate. All that will be left is that olive oil and butter that will start glazing the vegetables. As we get a little bit closer to it getting done, we'll check the firmness and stuff like that. I'm going to slice up some shallots. We'll add it to the pan. Toss, toss, toss. Right onto the plate, and we'll garnish with some fresh chives. All right, as our potatoes are boiling a little bit, we're going to go ahead and get to the next step of that. What I like to do is I like to get another small pot, and what we'll do is we'll take our heavy cream and butter, a little bit of salt, a little bit of black pepper, and we'll go ahead and bring that up to temp, let it simmer, kind of like scalding your cream, not bringing it to a boil or anything like that. And it's emulsifies the butter into the cream, and then when we make the mashed potatoes, we're actually going to mash them into the cream and the butter, and we'll give it a little whip, and it'll be nice and creamy and buttery and good. Let's do that. I would say for those 2 potatoes or so, probably, you know, I don't know, maybe a half cup of cream, and the more butter the better. I really mean that. I'm talking whole stick. We'll start with half a stick if you guys are health conscious, but I assure you when the camera is off, I'm going to add a lot more butter for mine. And we'll just put it over medium heat and we'll let that come up. Go ahead and season that. A little black pepper. And another little secret thing is if you have any like garlic powder or something like that, you could go ahead and get that in there. So if you're listening to the carrots, also while this is going on, you can hear that roiling or rapid boil that's going on. And eventually you'll start hearing the noise change to kind of like a searing sound. That means that your liquid is starting to emulsify, and that's good. So we'll lower the heat on that a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and check out where we're at with the carrots. Remember, we don't want them to be mushy. We're just looking for them to still have some bite to it, but be almost done cooking. Those are good. Tasting, I think it's going to need a little bit more salt, so we'll add some more salt. A little pinch of sugar. And now that the lid is off, you see the evaporation is going to start happening. We'll go ahead and get our shallots in. As everything starts emulsifying, the water goes away, but the oil and the butter stays. So what happens is you start getting nice, shiny, glazed carrots. Keep letting that go until it's almost done. And as much liquid as possible. Separately, we're going to go ahead and cut up some chives. And this will be for garnish. More than enough. Again, you really don't even need to look at the carrots. You could really just hear it. So, liquid is almost all gone. Nice buttery glaze. And we'll go ahead and add our chives now. Get that another toss, toss, toss. And I think we're ready to plate. right, so now we're going to check on our potatoes. Cut the heat off. It's not something that you want to see where they're completely falling apart, but you want them to be soft enough that you can stick a knife in cleanly with no resistance. These are perfect. So we are going to strain off all of the water. Separately, we have our cream and butter that we have mixed together. A little mess here. No problem. And that is hot and ready to go. Another reason why you do that is you never really want to add cold cream, cold butter to mashed potatoes because it will cool it down and I want hot food. So I'm going to strain off all the water. So we are going to pour that over our mashed potatoes. And we'll get our handy little masher and we'll start mashing. And you'll see as you're doing this, the cream is kind of just seeping into every one of those little cracks. No doubt this will need a little bit more seasoning. We'll taste that first before we get there. Cream. Fantastic. A pinch more salt, and I told you guys I was going to do it. I'm adding the rest of the butter. And again, this is room temperature butter, so you don't have to worry about what I said earlier. Get that all in there. Just luxurious, super simple. What is that? 3 ingredients: potato, butter, cream. Nice and fluffy, not overworked. Alright, so we just pulled the bird out of the oven. Still hear it sizzling. If you look at it, it should have a nice kind of a crust going, nice golden brown. And your real telltale sign is that your let's call it proteins and juices and stuff are starting to coagulate along the outside. You could also use an instant read thermometer and make sure that it's at the right temperature. So what's important now is kind of a waiting game. We're going to let this meat rest, let those juices kind of relax and resettle down back inside of that chicken. And then we'll cut the truss off. We'll cut it down into portions and we'll plate it up. All right, so now that the chicken has rested for a good 10-15 minutes or so, kind of cool down, it's good to handle now and it won't burn you up. We are going to remove it from the old Panorino. Cutting board. Some num-nums there. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut that truss that we did in the beginning. Untie our bird. You should get, a lot of crackling sounds and stuff like that when you're doing this, which is a good sign. Awesome. There we go. So I have some C-folds ready just in case the juice gets out of hand. And because we got that wishbone out, we're just going to go, so right in the center, there's the sternum. So you're going to go to either the left or the right side. We chose the left. This boy is hot. And then you want to do the same thing on the right side. And we'll separate these. Separate these thighs out right here. Just cut down through there. And you can kind of just press. Super hot. You press until you see the joint, and then you want to cut through that joint. So we'll go through here. There's my joint. Cut through that. One piece of chicken. So you'll cut through, pop it so we can see that joint. Cutting board up a little bit, get rid of all this nasty stuff. And then you'll ride real close to the bird, and you'll get to a point where, just like in those legs, the joint is going to come together, and you'll see it, and you can split right through it. One breast, fix that skin. There you go. And the same thing on the other side, cut down. It wasn't so hot. Right through it. There's the other breast. So there you have it, a nice roast chicken. Some glazed carrots and mashed potatoes. So again, we're at 4000 Royal Street in New Orleans, Louisiana, and enjoy.